Good afternoon. I'm really excited for you to join me and to join me on a very, very important topic on project management. It's about claims management and managing the scope within a project. And this is something that is absolutely essential for every project manager projects, whether it is agile, waterfall, or how you move of the project really affects the outcome, obviously, but also the financial outcome. And sure, you are responsible for the business benefit so that you deliver for business what they really need to do. And the outcome of this project has on the bottom line of your company. When you're as a consultant and you're delivering customers, a successful delivery of this project does not only, but also a profit margin, so that your employer can make a profit. So let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Ines, and manager for the last 25 years. A multiple scope of projects currently in the area of digital transformation. So I've implemented new budgeting processes, knowledge management processes, but in particular a lot of new systems, whether document management systems, IT support systems, or processes related to security, GDPR, or business risk management. I've also founded 5 companies, so I have a very strong business background and more than 1,300 as a role of an investment board member. What is going to be the overview of the next? I will give you a short overview of the type of conflicts. So what typical type of conflicts do you have in a project, and these conflicts onto your scope, and how can you manage claims within a project? With the challenges that you are typically facing and how you can manage and deal with these challenges. And at the end, I will briefly present you the Project Success Writer, and this is an online project excellence program that I've developed in the last 6 months. So what are typical types of conflict? For instance, when you implement a new business continuity management process, this was a project that I was recently. Setup of this project was a fixed price project, and the challenge here was really to define with the customer, what does it mean, a fixed price? Because as a consultant, a fixed price project, or as a software company, a fixed project is a very high risk project. You define the scope, and that's the price, and then there is little to no maneuver within this setup. And usually this is also something that is of high risk, because usually there are challenges and changes. And the particular challenge with this project was that the clients 100% know what they wanted to achieve and what they wanted to do. So they had an idea, they had a vision, but defining a fixed price project on a vision is not enough. So we really had to fine-tune rather the processes, the reviewing processes, what was included in this fixed price, and it was really essential to get some sort of movement and some sort of room in this fixed price project. The second type of a process. So when you're implementing, as an example, a new budgeting process, people are used to the old process, and if they need to change their budgeting process, data management process, they have resistance to change. Some departments will like it because it will be easier. For other departments will not like it because they will have more effort, they will need to click more. Or in the example of a master data management system, the core department that was affected by this new system, by this new process, was fearing that they would lose. When you have these process difficulties, in most cases, to differentiation. So to a scope, not a scope creep, but usually a change request. Because when you're implementing a new process within a company, it's new ideas and requirements from departments. Usually within this process definition, ideas, and sometimes you really need to adjust the scope. Easier when you have an agile approach where this scope definition is integrated in the project setup. So it's in this respect, it's easier to navigate and change requests because they are integrated in the agile framework and in the agile process. Nevertheless, but also in projects, you have somewhere some when it comes to. So I've never came up in my last 25 years that had unlimited budget, where you said, do whatever you want, take as much budget as you want, and so there were some constraints, and you really had to and maneuver the changes and the adaptations you required with this new process. The overall, and the third type of conflict is usually related to relationships. So people don't get along with each other. That happens. And sometimes there are departments who have naturally cautious of new systems. And I was leading a IT implementation at a pharmaceutical company, and a very strong workers' council. And the workers' council was not integrated of the whole project, but they had to approve the final solution. So obviously there was a delay because you had to get the buy-in of the workers' council, and this was initially not integrated in the project plan. And by the time I joined the project, before the rollout, this was one topic that came up. We suddenly realized, well, we are just before rollout, but don't have workers' council approval. So this needs to be integrated to a not only approval, but there are that led to a delay of the project. And the delay of the project usually is not linked to a but usually a delay in a project has an impact on the budget. So even if you have the same scope and due to missing approvals, missing resources, you have a delay. You have you need additional budgets to actually run and finish the project. This is also a conflict that you need, or a topic that with your client and the stakeholders. What are the, let's say, the sources, root causes of conflicts? In most cases, it's a miscommunication, whether it's a misunderstanding of the setup of the project, of the intention, and this can be not only because of the background of the people, of the background of the whether a HR person has a different standing or perception of change management than so when you're talking about change management to a HR person, they are talking about organizational change and people-related change. When you're talking about within the IT setup, this is system change requests, technical changes. So you see, you're using the same terminology, completely different meanings depending on the context and situation of miscommunication. You have usually some competing priorities. When in sales departments, they really want to increase the sales and for the client, for their client, in order to generate new sales. IT departments and finance departments on process efficiency and cost cutting, and reducing the spending. And these are competing priorities that you need to take into account as a project manager. Before, there are resource limitations in most projects when there is someone ill or some new some resources from one project to the other. You have personal issues, don't understand each other, don't like each other, and these are to deal with. Role ambiguity, that's usually the case when it's not 100% clear who is responsible not only for a project, but who is responsible for a decision. And as you know, as a project manager, you really need decisions. You not only in terms of scope or scope changes or budget changes. In general, the whole project requires decision, and if it's not clear who is deciding and who is allowed to decide, a huge risk in a project. Then, as I mentioned earlier, also change resistance and power imbalance. And power imbalance, particularly interesting and relevant when you have a complex project where there are a lot of different stakeholders with powers and power influence, and you really need to navigate and build your alliances in order to your impact and your power. So what can you do, and what are, let's say, the boundaries within your project? There are three types. It's, let's say, the business boundary, the contract, and the scope. And this is the element that we are going to discuss in depth today. And there are also without respect, boundaries, time and location. So when it comes to scope management and claims management, what I'm expecting every team member on my project team is to read the contract, and no matter what they need to understand the contract and the scope of the project. Yes, it depends on the size of the contract. Obviously, not everyone needs to read and understand terms and conditions, but I really expect the team members to not only the element what they are doing, but the whole setup and the whole context of the contract that you have signed with the client. When you're working internally, you usually also have some sort of project team and the business, and this could be a project approval document, but something where it is different in the beginning. What is the scope? And it's a common understanding and how you are going to maneuver the scope and how you are doing requests. Change requests, and I think it's absolutely essential and understand that when there is a change in the scope, that they need to address this change. And either they do it with the client, with the stakeholder themselves, or they involve you. And this is also something that you need to develop. Is who is addressing the change in scope. And I really recommend that you are involved in everything related scope negotiation, change in scope, because you are in the end responsible for the project, and your negotiation authority with the stakeholders and with the clients. And by negotiation authority will be some sort of room for maneuver. It's a give and take. It's when you say, well, there is a little bit of a scope and this has on the project, you will most likely say yes to the client. But I think it's also very important that you recognize and or the client recognizes that this is a change in scope, and that you are prepared to do it and adjust the activities so that the project will become even better. And it is essential to communicate and also document this change. As I said, it's a give and take, and in negotiation authority, really you also need to take then something from your client, and this could be as an example additional time, or in at some point in time additional budget. So it is a give and take, and the issue in the beginning of the project on how you communicate those changes, the change request procedure is essential. Start with the common understanding of the contract of your team, so that they realize and recognize the better word, recognize that there is a deviation of the scope. At the same time, and I'm also talking about this, is that the customer and stakeholder also has the understanding of the scope, and also the same understanding of change. And this really means that you understand the stakeholders of your customer, and you build really good relationships with these customer stakeholders, so that a change request is not a spam. It's an ongoing business. It's yes, of course, there is a change request, and yes, of course, when negotiating these topics, and sometimes a limited budget. That is also natural. The change request can be implemented because of the limitation of the budget. So maybe you need to say yes to one change request, but then something else from the scope needs to be reduced. So that's also part of the negotiation. It's if you want A and maybe you need to delete B. And I think this understanding and this constant communication and collaboration with the customer and their stakeholders is absolutely essential. And the best way to do this is having regular check-ins with the client. And the client can be internal, can be external, but they really understand, and you need to have a regular check-in and say, are we in line? So it is probably part of the project status reporting if you do some sort of reporting or some sort of Scrum meet, or maybe it's in no, it's not in the retros, but if you do safe dependency planning or some regular check-in, so that you know where are we on the path of this project, and it needs a common understanding on what can be done in the period of time in this setup of the budget and of the resources. Important element is to define a change process early on. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be 3 or 4 levels, or it can be, depending on the project, it can be just an email so that it's documented. This is the scope, this is the change, this is the impact, because usually every change has an impact on the project. And from this change throughout the project. And you need to make this visible. You really need to make this visible to not only your core clients or your core stakeholders who are in the project annually or weekly basis, but also to the wider stakeholders and to the decision makers. So if you say A, then it is also B. So the dependencies of these change requests is absolutely essential, because only then your stakeholders and your clients and also your employers will and line managers see what is the impact of those changes. And sometimes there needs to be a decision to say, well, no, stop, we will not do this at this moment in time, but phase 2 or phase 3 or whatever. So I think this transparency in, yes, there is a change and there is a change request. Do we know, or can we do this later? And what is the impact of implementing this change request through to the overall project is essential. And one thing that I forgot, it's not only important to what is the scope and the common understanding of the scope and with the clients, but it's also the common understanding of definition of success. It's not only the definition of done, but also the definition of success. Because as soon as you change the scope, the success, and this understanding, what does success mean once the scope, is really, really important. Because the initial success of the project was, let's say, a completely new budgeting system and a new budgeting process. And then suddenly there were a lot of new change requests, and there is a time, and then the only thing that you have you've agreed with the client is to implement a profit and loss budgeting process. So not balance sheet and cash flow state profit and loss processes. And this could be a huge, but in the original project it says the whole budget process. You really need to define and agree on the definition of success too, and communicate all stakeholder decision makers also are aware that is changing, but it's also the definition of success. And one very important element in this, and this is, but it is having this documentation in writing. And you can currently, there are so many great AI tools out there that can help you document meeting minutes and yes, but having this in writing is absolutely essential, because once you have it in writing, you can then also have it as a documentation and a proof and a basis for anything claim related, if there is at some point in time a claim coming up to you. And I would that you have not only in the beginning of the project a conversation with your legal team, but also throughout the project at some point in time when there is a significant change request and a significant change also in the scope definition, to check in with your legal department. What is the consequence and what would they recommend you do in order to be safe and define any potential claims. Basically, in the end, I mean, having claims on the nothing fun, because as a project manager, I always wanted to have happy customers and really useful for them and beneficial for them. So having conflicts on the horizon, claims on the horizon, is nothing fun, and you need to be prepared for it. In the end, it is your relationship with the client and with your ability to negotiate those different situations, help you in managing and maneuvering situations. So what are this can do in order to resolve this situation? As I said previously, it's the not only the stakeholders. Who are your stakeholders? What is their purpose, their goals? What are their career? Very detailed understanding, and by understanding them and doing a stakeholder profiling, you can build a trustful and respectful relationship. For you, manager, you need to have the courage to address those conflicts, to those changes and those potential claims, and confidence and the courage to address the elephant in the room that you learn over time. And courage is something, it's not only a skill, it's a muscle that you can build as a project manager. So the more you show courage and the more you address conflicts, the better you are. It's not always fun, but it is an skill that you can build. And what you need to also remind yourself is these situations require energy, and they require your energy in order to maneuver and negotiate and build a relationship, bring the people together. It's very energy consuming. And it's very important for you to have, let's say, not only a safety net, but also that who helps you through these situations. And when you really ask and demand people to come to the table and work on a solution, and not only what they don't want, but also specifically, let's say, force them to be solution orientated, is something that is very rewarding and really helps not only within this project, but also within your career. When you have established and assessed your stakeholders and did a stakeholder profiling, you've built the relationships to your stakeholders, and you have communicated your stakeholders all process, there will be a point in time where you say, you solve this solution or this conflict, you cannot solve potential claim. This is something where your C-level, you're in. And that's where you as a project manager beforehand have built a good relationship to your to the C-level and leverage their support. So what are basically strategies that you can use to maneuver these difficult situations? It is building the network and building the relationships to your clients. And the more trustful your relationship to the stakeholders and to the clients are, the easier the conversations are, and the easier it is to find solutions because you trust them. But it's also essential for you to build within the stakeholders. You've done your stakeholder profiling map, and you know map within this project or within this area. It's essential for you to understand, well, who are your allies or with a relationship, so that this person can become an ally. And with these networks, it will also be easier for you to negotiate and find solution to conflicts, because it's always the last element in this situation. So having scope conversations, scope discussions, changes in budget, changes in time, changes in scope, is a constant negotiation that you are having with the stakeholders, and when you have allies, they will help you in these conversations. And in the end, it is asking for support within your network, within your or asking for support for your on your line manager, but really knowing where your support system is and ask for help. And one of support systems could be the project. And I would like to take 5-6 minutes to explain you, well, what is the Project Success Accelerator? What you hear is the concept of the content that we're discussing. It is about gaining as a project manager or future project manager, gaining your setup. It's who are your stakeholders, what is the power structure, what is the business case you're dealing with, and what are the politics. So this is external setup that we're assessing, and you gain clarity by assess external setup. The second step is building it. As I discussed previously, you need the courage, the elephant in the room, and in order to build the courage to address, you need to be really confident in yourself capabilities. And we do this by identifying your values and in particular also your boundaries. So what is important to you? What are the boundaries that are important to you? And boundaries and having role plays that help you try difficult conversations. You can build confidence over time, and you will also be able to build a reputation as a project. And once you have your setup, you've grown confidence, you're clear about your boundaries, and then as a third step, you will to address the elephant in the room, to address the conflicts, to address difficult conversations, change management, communication. So basically the 3 stages that you're going through in the Project Success Accelerator. How does it look like? It's very down to earth. So once a week you join a power, and there are multiple per week. And in this power hour, you ask your questions. As an example, you could ask, well, request or the client wants to originally discussed, what do I need to do, or how can I address it, or for a first steering committee meeting. Your current questions that you have in the project. The second element is monthly deep dives. So we meet on the last Thursday in the evening, and we discuss one topic in detail. And this could be stakeholder profiling. This can be reputation management as for you as a project manager. This can be dependency planning. So really topics that are relevant. We'll have a workshop and a deep dive workshop into this topic. Have a safe space, not only to ask questions, but also to do role plays in order to prepare yourself for a next situation. And the third element are 9 self-paced learning modules, again, about stakeholder management, business case management, politics, values, and so on and so forth. And you also have templates that are ready to use in your project. The benefit of this Project Success Accelerator, it's basically you can ask your questions risk-free anytime. There is no impact on your career, no impact on your reputation as project manager. So really a safe space, and you will be faster in competence and your confidence because you can train role plays and learn on a weekly basis. And the result of being with this is that you will be confident and competent to lead any situation and any project. You will be able to manage all your stakeholders with ease. There will be still difficult times, but you are those difficult times. What are the reasons you may want to join, and who are the people who have joined? It's either they are first-time project managers who want some guidance on their first project, and they really ask all the questions they have on their heart. You may be an experienced project manager who wants some external thoughts and some best practice from other project managers, and really dive deep into your merger and acquisitions, your post-merger integrations, your carve-out. So really the projects and the big and the complex, where you really want some not only some challenges, but some advice where you say, I've done this, I'm in this situation, how have you dealt with this carve-out? You know, some support in these situations. And it could also you're a project manager or a consultant wants to get ready for a move. So this is also something where I see people are in this project success later who grow in confidence and who are taking their next step. Here are some of the testimonials from she's a first-time project manager, and her was very impressed after 3 months of how she managed and how fast she was. And she also says she is, when you go onto the website Passion for www.passionforprojects.com, you will see all the videos of these references. So watch them, ask those really wonderful clients. What is the launch offer? So Project Success Accelerator now for the second time. The first time was in June with these wonderful women joining. It's open until the next Sunday, 24th of November. If you want to join for 6, and that's my recommendation, your investment will be 1,620 euros plus tax, depending on your location. I'm based in Germany. People based in Germany need to pay VAT. It's without VAT. This coaching is deductible from your income tax because it is set up as a project management coaching offering. So really for your education as a project manager. If you think this is valuable or this is interesting, then you book a discovery call and we can have a short conversation on the offering and how. Basically, you can choose a plan afterwards. Do you want to join monthly? Do you want to join on an annual basis? Currently, my colleagues, my clients are there 50-50. 50% are on a monthly basis and 50% are on an annual basis on this. And basically, if you join by the of January, on the 24th of November, so you can join right after then for the next call, and this is the next Thursday. If you join today or on Wednesday, you can be on the program already this Thursday. So how fast you want to decide. I hope this was, and if you have any remarks, drop me a line and to come back. Have a great rest